The storm outside rattled the metal walls of the outpost, each gust of wind carrying grains of glittering dust that skidded across the panels like claws scratching at the base. It was the kind of wind that made you thankful for thick walls and reinforced windows. Inside, Ethan Drake sat at the makeshift table, watching the small fire flicker in the heating module. The outpost wasn't meant to house two people, much less a human and an alien, but that's what fate had decided. Across from him sat Lyrie, her lavender skin dappled with faint bioluminescent spots that pulsed softly in time with her heartbeat. She had been injured 2 days ago, when a rogue scavenger drone malfunctioned near the canyon, and had limped into the outpost, her left leg a mess of bruised muscles and torn ligaments. Ethan, being the only medic around for at least 50 kilometers, had patched her up with his limited supplies. Now, she was propped on the thin bunk bed, one long leg stretched out awkwardly in front of her, the other bent at the knee. "Does it still hurt?" he asked, nodding toward the injured leg. Lyrie's eyes, like polished amethyst, flicked toward him. She hesitated, as if weighing whether to admit weakness to a human, her kind. The Thelyrians were proud people, graceful, agile, warriors when they needed to be. Finally, she gave a small nod. "It throbs, like a drumbeat that won't stop." Ethan leaned back in his chair. "I could try something," he said. "Might help with the pain." Lyrie tilted her head, the faint glow along her temples pulsing in curiosity. "What sort of human remedy?" "A massage," Ethan replied simply. The word seemed foreign to her. "Massage." She tested it on her tongue, like it was a technical term. "Yeah," he said with a shrug. "Pressure movement. Loosens up the muscles. Gets blood flowing. Helps with healing, too." She regarded him with open skepticism. Thelyrians healed using sonic waves and biogels. Physical touch as medicine seemed primitive, but there was something in Ethan's calm confidence that made her pause. "Fine," she said at last. "Show me this massage." Hashtag the first touch. Ethan moved to sit on the edge of the bunk, careful to give her space. Her injured leg rested on a folded blanket, the sleek curve of muscle beneath her shimmering skin tense and rigid. His hands hovered for a moment. "Tell me if it hurts too much," he said softly. Lyrie gave a single nod, watching him like a hawk. Ethan started slowly, his thumbs tracing gentle circles just above her ankle. Her skin was warm, hotter than a human's, and faintly slick, like there was a second layer just beneath the surface that held moisture. Lyrie tensed at first. Her people weren't big on casual touch. It was reserved for mates or kin. Having a human's rough, callous hands on her felt strange. But as he worked his way up her calf, applying steady, rhythmic pressure, she felt the pain begin to ebb. "Your hands are warm," she murmured before she could stop herself. Ethan gave a small grin. "Good sign, I hope." She didn't answer, but her bioluminescent spots pulsed faster. Among Thelyrians, that was the equivalent of flushed cheeks. Hashtag old wounds, new conversations. As Ethan worked, the outpost's usual silence gave way to quiet conversation. "You humans," Lyrie said after a while, her voice quieter than before, "you rely so much on each other's touch. I've seen it. Handshakes, embraces this." She gestured vaguely to her leg. "Why?" Ethan shrugged, his fingers kneading gently just below her knee. "I guess it's how we show we care. Words are good, but touch, it says things words can't." Lyrie considered that. Her people communicate emotions through bioluminescent patterns, through songs carried on ultrasonic frequencies. Touch was secondary, utilitarian, not emotional. Yet here she was, letting a human's hands chase the pain from her leg, and feeling something loosen not just in her muscles, but deep inside her chest. Hashtag the moment things changed. Ethan shifted his focus higher, just above the joint where her injury was worst. His thumbs pressed carefully into the tense muscles, finding knots of pain and working them loose with patient precision. Lyrie let out a sharp breath. Not quite a gasp, but close. "Too much?" Ethan asked quickly, easing the pressure. "No," she said, her voice tight. "It feels strange, but not bad." He nodded and continued, slower this time. And then it happened. Her body shivered. Not from pain, but from something she couldn't name. Delirians didn't shiver. Their species had evolved beyond the primitive reflexes of humans. Yet her leg trembled under his hands, and a pulse of light raced up her bioluminescent spots in a wave, so bright Ethan paused in surprise. "Did I hurt you?" he asked. Lyrie's eyes were wide. "No," she said softly. Then, after a long pause, "That has never happened before." Hashtag, 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 a bond forged in touch. Minutes passed. The storm outside raged on, but inside the small outpost, warmth spread between them. Ethan finished the massage with slow, deliberate motions, letting the muscles relax fully. By the time he stopped, Lyrie's leg felt almost weightless, the throbbing pain replaced by a deep, soothing warmth. She flexed her leg experimentally. The sharp sting that had haunted her for 2 days was gone, leaving only faint soreness. "It worked," she said, a note of wonder in her voice. "Your primitive method, it worked." Ethan chuckled. "Told you so." But Lyrie wasn't looking at her leg anymore. She was looking at him, with those luminous eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies. "You gave more than healing," she said slowly, as if choosing each word carefully. "Among my people, when someone touches you like that, it means trust, bonding." Ethan blinked. "And is that bad?" She hesitated. Then, with a strange softness he hadn't seen before, she said, "It means you're no longer just a human. Not to me." Hashtag, 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 what happened after. That night, as the storm finally began to fade, Lyrie stood on her once-injured leg and walked without limping for the first time. She stepped to the outpost single window, watching the alien sky clear. Ethan joined her, arms crossed loosely. "Feels better?" he asked. "Yes," she said. Then, after a pause, "Ethan, when this storm passes, my people will come for me. I will tell them what you did." He shrugged lightly. "Just a massage." But Lyrie shook her head. "No, you crossed a line no human has crossed. You touched not just my skin, but something deeper. My people will not understand it, but I do." And before he could respond, she reached out, hesitant, almost shy, and placed her hand over his. The faint glow from her bioluminescent spot spread across both of them like a promise. Ethan didn't need translation to understand what it meant. Sometimes a simple human gesture could bridge light years of distance.